So to start, I remember the first time I watched The First Strangers, and I was absolutely terrified of cars because I remember the sequence where the person was in the backseat of the car most of all. When you were all kind of developing this and working on making it, were there any references or anything you wanted to pull from that original, or did you want this to be its own thing?
Well, I think we went to the, number one, tone, realism, true horror, that can actually happen to you. We for sure wanted to stay there, the DNA of the first chapter, because we have a much broader, really terrifying story that we're telling of what sort of happens after that. We kept the idea that people show up, they knock on the door, they play with you for several hours, because in the original one they could have killed them 12 times, but they didn't on purpose, or so we were led to believe, until they did, until they finally caught them and did. So we stuck with the DNA and the basics to set it up, because I don't really think we could have done that better. Right? And there's a whole new generation of film goer out there that loves horror movies that never saw the original. And so this is their intro, and then after they see this, they'll probably go back and watch the original one from 2008. But we go somewhere else afterwards. So in that way, we stuck to the original. But our goal wasn't to copy any of their scares or anything. That's not what we were interested in. It was just the setup and the actual DNA.
Yeah. And I do love a movie that puts people in a cabin, because I was always like, yeah, don't go to cabins. That simple.
So you don't go to cabins.
Yeah, no, they didn't have a choice. Yeah. And when you are working on something that is, we kind of know the format, or those who are fans of the original know the format and everything, what for you was the what did you want the challenge to be for an audience, to come in and be shocked by what aspect of this movie?
I think it's, number one, I wanted the audience to be terrified. Right, which I think we accomplished, and I wanted to create a lot of suspension and tension, suspense and tension, that you just literally have your hand on your chest all the way through, and it was really relentless. So that's what I want the audience to take away, and also that this can really happen. But beyond that, to go, oh my God, so now this woman is stuck in this town, and these people are still out there, what's going to happen next? Because actually, the tension and the suspense and really the true horror of what happens to her plays out in a totally different way from this point forward as you go into chapter 2 and chapter 3. Remember, it's one giant thing. So I just wanted them to walk out of that, and the next time they hear, they actually think about our movie.
Yeah. I love it. And for a last question I have to ask, because, you're bringing back a franchise and this idea that we've always loved, which I do love that we're doing that in horror movies a lot more, is bringing back things that scared me when I was younger. Is there another story that you would want to tell in a sequence like this, where there are 3 parts and you're building it out over time?
That is a plan. Yeah, I actually love making giant movies, I found out. As crazy as it is and as hard as it is, and it truly is crazy and hard, I kind of love that. And I kind of love having seen the audience now, that they love the idea that these movies come really quickly for them, but they're a theatrical experience. And I want to play in this genre more. And I want to play with what we've done here, which is character-driven horror, where you actually don't gloss over a protagonist or an antagonist, but you make them real people that we can relate to what they're going through in a horror milieu with a whole bunch of horror stuff going on. So it's almost like drama meets horror, right? And so I'm totally into that right now. And I think the audience is going to love that, because our genre, I love this genre. We always get sort of put in a little corner over here, you know what I mean? And we don't belong in a corner. Why can't we have real characters that go through this stuff and see how it actually affects them and interrelationships? But then why can't we do that in that genre and still make it scary and still make it fun? And then have all the other subgenres, the monster movie, the horror comedy, every other subgenre that we also love in the thing. But this is one that I'd really like to play with a bit. So you'll see more.